Never say never. I said it's gonna be a last recording of mine. And last time when I was here a few days ago, it's not. Apparently I know a little bit more about this place. The one who got this place burned was the police. However, what is interesting is how they did this stuff. And they did it before I left the United States of America. Sometimes I even assume in 1993. What's interesting is how they did this. They did it literally through total bestiality performed on me. My spine, which was broken at the local boxing club through MK Ultra, literally damaged even more, basically. It's something I already discussed on the Also Times blog, and doesn't really fit in this picture here. However, it's a memory on broken spine, torture also inside of this building, inside of this home, which police performed. Do you know what they did? Before they burned the building, I'm talking about the animals in blue from Novo Mesto police station. They got a group of the people here that supposedly belonged to pro-Slovenian independence movement. And what they would do through MK Ultra, they would get me to give them approval for burning the building because of what went on. Those guys, clearly afterwards it became evident, Slovenian. They totally cooperated with the police, and they alone became involved in a torture. As investigators from Novo Mesto police station, Ogulin, Metod Jerman neighbor, all these animals that I spoke about at the police station, they lied me about the name. Stoyan Pevec. It appears that there was another police officer, because it was just the other day another police officer posed with the name Stoyan Pevec. So what they did was they obtained from me yes to burn this building in 1993 it was, and went on and burned the building. Then police started to investigate. They're going to investigate, and they are going to find who burned the building. That's fucking insane. Basically, they tortured inside of this building, and the people who burned this building have witnessed torture, yet they would not stop in my place, give me affidavit, present themselves, or anything like this. No, sir. What they did was they went on to burn, in a parenthesis, building. And police started to investigate, research who did the burning. And supposedly they got the people who burned the building. They will get them now for sure, because when I grab the police for the balls like I did right now, there is nowhere to run, there is no escape. Animal who met me in 2022 at the police station when I came to request for my father's medical files, personally was involved in this, and so were all other police officers I mentioned. But what's interesting is they would keep delivering me here in that area in the back and threaten how I'm gonna trespass and etc., etc. Now, supposedly there was a warning here, not enter, that kind of stuff, prohibited, restricted. And I was told that once that warning is gone, that means there's no danger for me anymore. That means that I already breached MK Ultra danger on how they tried to, they insisted that I was the one who demanded, yes, of course, demanded and insisted and blah, blah. Incited in a burning of the building. I did not even know I was tortured in this building, because I never walked through here, through this area here. I never walked through here. If I did, I drove myself past, and I sure didn't give a fuck about this building here. So now the whole thing finally is over, and What I will say to you is they burned another 2 buildings in 3 buildings, possibly even 3 buildings, in probably one in Russia, one in Belarus, and they were using at least another 3 buildings for the torture. Vladimir Putin was personally involved in it, and the way they do this stuff is they do something like they broke the belt on my car, right? They broke the belt on my car. Then they were using a supervisor from the job where I got the job next. His name was Jonathan Bettis at Agamanik Properties on the South Beach. And I would apply for the job, and he wouldn't call me for the job at all for like another 2 months. So the Slovenian garbage animals could torture and torture and torture, assisted by CIA, FBI, and what they do is they keep repeating the same incident that happened way earlier. And so what they do is they fuck your timing up. And exactly the same way the Slovenian side was doing exactly what I described first, 2008 and 2009, that kind of stuff. Then I downgraded to 96, 97, 98, after I already left to America, that kind of stuff. This is what this is. It's a copy-paste technology to, they believe to prove that the person is demented. At least 2, possibly 3 buildings very similar to this one were burned, where they would also bring me for purposes of screwing up the timing. Milan Kučan operation, Vladimir Putin, and foremost today, the truth is going to come out about the Slovenian police. Not a one they look forward to. They're not going to like this one. They're in trouble, serious trouble. Burned 2 years before I left the United States of America. This building right here. Fucking scum Slovenian. The guy whom police got to burn this shit, Gregor Golobic, was involved in this. The guy who did this shit insisted me that he did this because he saw that they're doing nasty stuff to me, that they were doing a bad stuff to me, and they couldn't take it anymore, and so that's what they did. So beyond sick shit, beyond sickening. They literally had me inside of the buildings in Belarus and in Russia when they fired them up. When they did the arson in Russia and in Belarus, but the way they did is they tortured for 10, 15 years. The one who personally witnessed to, who was present, was none other than Robert Golob and Borut Pahor and Kučan, of course. Politicians that would travel to Russia, Belarus during the so-called summer vacation and stuff. All of these buildings, I suspect, went up flames in a summertime. Well, Borut Pahor is an arsonist. He burned, basically, he burned that same fucking year his own car, man. They did in a different terms, at least 3 buildings they must have burned. 2 buildings were likely burned sometimes in 2005, 2008, and there was 1 building that they must have burned earlier, like, I don't know, in 99 or something like that. Things got even worse. This investigator who met me at the police station and a bunch of others claimed that they already confessed about this shit. This is where it gets even crazier. This was a criminalist department that was involved in this. They confessed to me, they said, we didn't know what to do with it. They started to, like, they're gonna help me out. Yeah, they're gonna help you out, man. If I sticked around for a little longer, they would have fucking killed me here in Slovenia. I escaped from here to the United States of America. Got myself a job overseas, basically. I didn't go like a normal people go. I went 3 fucking quarters crazy. to work on the ship. Anything. For nothing, basically. For free, practically. Pay $2,500 to get the job. And managed to earn $3,500. That basically left me with $1,000 of work for no less than 6 months on the ship. 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is how I came to America. They gestured me that they got somebody, this and that they were gonna screw me up. The only thing that, again, it's funny because I left the United States of America in 1995 and again screwed them up. That's what they claim. Milan Kučan couldn't get over of this. Kept coming in Novo mesto to investigation department with whom he was meeting. Cried, complained, bitched about. He wanted to prove that I was behind the arson of the building. So this is how it happened with this building. Then the scenario changed and they got whoever the fuck they got, or whatever they got, and they signed them, and this is the way it was. This is a Slovenian police. I told you about how they wanted to burn my car and portray it as an accident and throw my corpse inside a car. I told you about that, how they contemplated on getting me killed. I did that video. So this is practically, this is the same technology, same people, same shit. And you gotta admit, MK Ultra is extremely useful because once they get you, they can do with you whatever the fuck they want to do. Hospitals and such is not a place to joke around. You can disappear and wake up in some other part of the world. Through a death certificate they give you, stop your heart, do the inspection of your body, in a parenthesis cremate you, and you find yourself somewhere else. It's incredible, the stuff. This country here, they gave themselves the same flags like the Russians have. I'm telling you, this is located in the heart of the Europe. It's known as Slovenia. It is the same fuckhole as that Belarusian Lukashenko is Belarus, basically, that he's running, or Vladimir Putin is Russia. It's a fucking prison on open inside of the European Union, and a member of the NATO and of the European Union, against whom they, by the way, continue to complain. They have a lot of problems with the European Union because European Union and NATO are financing what other than Ukraine. So this location, this place here, was visited by Milan Kučan personally here in 96, 97, and even, of course, in 94 and 95, as I left the United States of America, God knows how many times. He went completely insane. This was the first Slovenian president. This individual was president of the Communist Party in Slovenia. And he was elected as the first Slovenian president. This is a police station where he would come. God knows how many times he came here to inquire about assistance. But I was in the United States of America at the time, so that's the way they did this stuff. See?
Well, this is a city of the Novo mesto right here that you see, and our house is right here at this place here. This will be our house, and so the city center is this area here. This is the city center. This is where used to be our old house here in this place here, and so whenever I would commute to where Father built his house, it would go like this, and trust me, it was far enough. Okay, it was. I didn't need more than that. I had a 4-kilometer walk each way to the grammar school, which was also here, Okay, and I mean here and back if I didn't get it right. And what became later on a high school, which was also located about where you see this train here, something like that. Yeah. I had no interest to make my life even more painful. This was the shortest route. This was it, and I never practically walked through this area. However, here I had no interest to go through here. I had no interest. Going through here made things painful. I had enough problems with enough exercise walking back and forth. It was enough. Yeah, this was just plenty of it. Going through here, around this, it just didn't pay off. With a car, whenever father would drive me, or once I bought a car, I would drive past here. They keep inviting me to come here during MK8 when I purchased my own car. You must drive here, you must this, you must, I don't know, you go running here, go do this all kinds of stuff. And no, I was just not into it. I mean, it's just too, I'm not gonna say it's too far. For the running, it was definitely not too far, but there was a different kind of problem. The problem was that this is a million cars rolls through here. This is the most busy road here. It's like one car after another, one car after another. I don't like the fumes from the exhaust. So what I would do is if I would run through the city or something, it would be just something like this here and then basically back. This is another short route. Right here we see the sign for the Euro. It will also take you to the same place back home. But here, no. This I started for the first time on my own. Now, in 2026, just right now, I started it. And 2 months ago, I started to investigate this crime. There is a whole, maybe even 2 hour long, I don't know how long I have, how many more videos I have. Because I identified also people that worked here. A Dalmatian guy, a Croatian guy, for instance, was the head of this group. Yes, I have the proofs about the people who worked there. And yes, about who the original people were who lived inside of this building, inside of this home. But let me just make clear and short that this building here was thoroughly identified by me.
This is one of these Milan Kučan criminals. His name is Gregor Golobic. He participated in this thing. This is one of the Milan Kučan. And you have Robert Golob. Milan Kučan made him fucking crazy completely. He totally drove me insane. I mean, bizarre, hilarious. He actually was stressed like a mouse. He was stressed out like a mouse in respect to this building. It was just really difficult. Really difficult for him. I already video recorded this stuff, and I don't know what. All this stuff center here. Yes, our house right here, school, and high school in this side. Afterwards, we traveled, however, along the Ljubljanska here toward the main train station in the Novo mesto where Josip Broz Tito would. He was, and then we get here. This train station, basically, this train station was involved practically since my childhood. And this was the road to Josip Broz Tito to Belgrade. Monitor is ugly stuff. I clean the computer up, but I don't know how to clean this one here, really, to stop this. Molded computer is something else, anyhow. I am gonna have a video about that stuff too, with crazy police. The stuff they did is just completely crazy. This is the property right here. This is the property that was the most single property most involved in physical mental torture since my childhood. And Milan Kučan with the Robert Golob, with Borut Pahor, with this arsonist Borut Pahor right here. Did you see it? something I already have spoke about this guy here. He burned his own car, man. And this was yet another perfect example about the stuff I was talking to you about. I mean, these people, you could not make this shit up. I mean, but they just is just incredible, man. The stuff they got themselves into is just there's no sign here of trespassing, anything like this, and it was done deliberately, just as I explained already in the video. There used to be, that's what the police claimed, the local police claimed it, there was a sign, no trespassing. And based on Stefanich, as they were telling me about this stuff, the sign was they already planned on getting me trespass the property and get me arrested. I did trespass the property. I trespassed the property right here, at this location here. I went on and I inspected this thing here entirely. Entirely not, because it was already too late. It went into the night, so I left. But I walked through here and I came behind the building here. So behind the front of this building, there's another structure right here. This structure here, this one provided for the workers, a lodging, a place to stay. This was where they had their rooms. The police also had me inside after the house, after they already burned the house. Police insisted me, supposedly that they placed here no trespassing order or something like that, but there is none. Nothing is. And I was even told once there is no more trespassing and stuff, warning or anything like this, you're free to go and see it. Simple as this. But at the same time, it's also interesting, and it's very, very important to note that on one opportunity, I'm about to present you this investigation, which I did. It lasted me 2 months. I encountered, let's just do this. I encountered police already right here waiting with a van parked just 3 minutes, 240 meters away from this property. They were certain that I will enter the property, and I simply did not, you know. I entered it once and I documented as much as I possibly could. I recorded the memory. Based on memory, I recorded the people who used to live inside of this building. Earlier I mentioned to you Josip Broz Tito. Josip Broz Tito would come also here. He would visit all the buildings, unofficially, of course. These are unofficial visits. This was the building, single building. There was more torture done in one on me than maybe on any other building in the city of the Novo Mesto. This was a man who was here, who had 2 daughters. One was, I don't know, maybe they placed her for the special needs or something like this, and the other one actually got married and moved right across this hill here on the other side of the hill based on MK Ultra. Now, she was very motivated in getting me married, but yeah, I was not really. This was just MK Ultra, and it was not exactly my type, to put it this way. When I started to investigate this stuff here, I just first came across these windows, and that's when it grabbed my attentions. I came here, and I looked at it inside, and it was like a magnet. Boom! I immediately drew me inside, and I knew exactly where I was. I did probably even 3 hours of video recordings from this side of the street. Actually, you know what? Robert Golob and Milan Kučan video recorded themselves in this kitchen here, telling me the only way, together with the Miran Sudin. So they had a Miran Sudin involved in this. You know what they told me? Only on this side of the road. Only on this side of the road. Yeah. You're not going to like it from either side of the road. In the back of this building, I mentioned you this little house for the workers. This house for the workers they hosted. This is just a guy from Dalmatia. I think he is from Zadar, and I think he was from Zadar because simply I always thought that he was from the Split. That's this city along the Adriatic coast. And oh, wait a minute, shit, it's also possible he's from Šibenik. That's possible, actually. Šibenik is also a city, very, very known city. Split, Šibenik, Zadar. I think he's from actually Šibenik, all right? Now, something is telling me he's from the Šibenik. He was the last, head, you know, like the guy who got the most along with other guys. They were from Bosnia, even from Kosovo, you know, and they lived in this, worked, and they live in this building, single guys. Well, they have families back home. And this went out of the business already long ago, this poverty here. I'm not sure what they were doing here, but I think they were doing the seats for the car seats for the cars, for the Renault, for the IMV. From very, 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 very long time, I think it was something like this that they were doing. And then they were doing contracts for Industria Motornih Vozil Novo Mesto. That's Renault now. Am I sure about this shit? Yeah, no, maybe. What the hell I know? I know it was about the orders. I know they tortured to get the orders. It was very, very difficult. They were paying the money. One property, just like this copy-paste property, was either in Bosnia or Croatia. They burned another 3 properties in 2 of which I think in Russia, and 1 of which I think it was in the Belarus, with Mount Everest of torture they did to me inside of those buildings in this area here, like this. And this is yet stuff that I need to investigate. I'm not going to take any chances anymore. I'm not going to go and trespass because I don't want any problems with that kind of stuff. A friend of Milan Kučan was inside of this building. He had his own home, but I had a feeling that sometimes he would even stay here. And then it was his assistant that moved to this place that replaced him. Yeah, seriously, this is where Josip Broz Tito would even come to see the workers do the stuff and so on. So these guys here, they got finally a job at Komunala, cestno podjetje, I should say. Oof. What they do is basically they maintain road infrastructure, repair asphalts, roads, that kind of stuff, clean snow, keep the roads safe. They do this kind of maintenance stuff, that kind of stuff, all kinds of stuff like this. And they always need physical stuff. It used to be like this. Milan Kučan practically owned that, and by finding jobs to the people, he was like a lord here, because Janez Janša, Lojze Peterle, these pro-independence, parentheses, politicians, they didn't give a fuck about. Funny to note that it was Milan Kučan who was coming to the police stations somehow it's funny that I heard even from people that when they supplied with the proofs to Janez Janša and stuff like this, everything was including with the people that supplied those proofs, I understand they all disappear. So it was just this Janez Janša he proclaimed himself as a persecuted man. Once they threw me into the psychiatric hospital, was laughing at my psychiatric hospitalization. Year before I was thrown into the psychiatric hospital, Janez Janša engaged in a torture against me. 6 months before my psychiatric hospitalization started to laugh about that, he gave a green light that I'm going to be thrown in the psychiatric hospital. He, however, would proclaim himself as a victim of
persecution here in Slovenia, thus creating an environment that would suggest people that there is some stuff happening and there is nobody that can help me out. You understand how they did this stuff? They portrayed themselves, the so-called pro-independence people. What they did, they got themselves into corruption scandals, all kinds of scandals like this, to portray this pro-Slovenian independence movement from Greater Serbian Chetnik state known as Yugoslavia as crap, like a corruption. This was step number one they did. And then the step number two, never needed help more than I did in 2012. After 40 years of MKH bestiality performed on me, they threw me into the psychiatric hospital, and I had nobody that would stand up for me, nobody I could write to, nobody, nothing. They made a hysteria that he's a poor guy and, that kind of impression. Something Janez Janša was extremely experienced already from the times of the so-called Yugoslavia, when he also had stuff going on. So with monterani processi, blah, blah, blah. He was just a safety switch for Milan Kučan. That's all there was to it. If Milan Kučan would not have people like Janez Janša, he could not have proclaimed himself as the first president of Slovenia in an independent, newly independent Slovenian state. And Milan Kučan was not the only ex-communist affiliated with the Belgrade. This was a Josip Broz Tito in Slovenia, Milan Kučan. They had appointed, talking about the Slovenes, the same communists, Borut Pahor, president of Slovenia, Janez Drnovšek, the same communist, Belgrade, president of Slovenia. They had a whole bunch of this Danilo Turk, let's say, that was ridiculing the killing of the people, massacre over there, the post-World War II executions in a Huda Jama and stuff like this. They were laughing and doing the stuff, the same shit you see. You see basically throughout Russia and Belarus, people disappearing and that kind of stuff, jailing them and so on, doing exactly identical stuff here, right here in Slovenia. However, through a complete see nothing, hear nothing, and know nothing, Lojze Peterle, Dmitry Rupel, and etc., Janez Janša, and so on, Igor Bavčar, a police officer from Yugoslavia, he actually locked himself through the Istra-Benz corruption scandal, and etc. Thaler went on to offer his services to the British journalists to record him that he wanted the corruption and stuff like this. Crazy shit. They impeached themselves, basically. This building, this facility, this stuff here is an eye-opener because it is identical practically. It's arson, it's burning. They wanted to throw my corpse, my body, literally into a burned car. They wanted to burn my car and throw me inside of the burned car, or basically place my body in a car and then lighten the car up. That was Lada Samara was the first such car that supposedly did not have some kind of injection and something that would allow car to just go off like a match and disappear in fire. I don't know what it was, but they were talking to me. They were loudly thinking about getting me killed. And so this here is just another Slovenian Novo Mesto, local Novo Mesto police product, exactly as I described in the video. It is unprecedented, and I'm extremely, extremely pleased. There's probably 3-hour-long video that I have separate from this, how long it took me, 2 months at least, to investigate this property, to learn about the stuff that went on. Supposedly they have cameras here, and these cameras are taking pictures of people. And before you might even, I understand they charged with the crime here a lot of kids here from the area. It was that kind of stuff, all kinds of stuff they were talking to me. Is the stuff that I already video recorded and I have it on the videos. they had these people, the house here, there is another house here behind that was involved in it. So 3 properties like this were burned to convince me. And they even had a property, Robert Golob, where he also do torture bestiality in another location. He needs to explain about that, probably somewhere near Ljubljana and stuff like this. Oh man, incredible. One property like this in either Croatia, Bosnia, where they also did the torture. It's truly, truly, truly incredible. Truly incredible. Truly incredible, and so packed with the proofs of torture done on me since my earliest childhood. That was the main reason why they burned the house. They claim that psychiatrist Kopš deeply involved in this one. He participated in torture, he incited in a torture, and he was also one of the proponents of just burn the building rather than to get DNA, whatever kind of proofs about me, about pertaining to this house here. And that's how the house went up the flames. Then they got an idea that would be the best to just basically connect me to the arson and arrest me. But I was already in Poland, and this reminds, in United States of America in 1995, and this reminds of the murder of my father, right? Right before I left to the Poland through Slovakia, my father is supposed to have fallen here inside of the house, in his room. He did. But I was already in Poland, and what went on here in Slovenia with my father, that is a totally other question. That's a separate question. But these are exactly identical things. They went on, including with this, always basically the same shit, the same patterns. Always when the police actually came to Poland and they tried to connect me to anything that would have to do with the father's fall or anything like this. They were trying to make something, the same thing here with this stuff here also, the same thing. Always the same patterns, always the same thing, always the same thing. They always try, they claim that I always escape them from the clutches, is what Zajcik gestured, that I am like a fish that you try to grab and it just disappears out of the hands. This is just not. These are just really executioners. These are just really henchmen, and that's what the Slovenia is. That's what it comes to. It took me about 2 months something to resolve this crime, to investigate thoroughly about this thing. Milan Kučan was more time on this police station together with Robert Golob than what the fuck I can count. They keep delivering me here to Novo mesto from United States of America in 1995 with Robert Golob shaking together with the Milan Kučan, completely in a total disbelief that I making impossible the task for American immigration authorities, which were desperate to get me back to Slovenia. In 95, in 96, and 97, I got married to American citizen. She was from Ecuador originally, but she was American citizen. And it wasn't only the home for demented people, next to the home for elderly people, they wanted to throw me inside, and where they most severely continue to torture me. They continue to torture me all the way past 2000, and they continue to torture me inside of that facility past 2004, something like this. 1995 I left, 98 they tortured. They continued to torture past 2003 for sure, where they threw the father inside in that home for elderly people, next door to that facility. It's a home for mentally disabled people. And inside of that home for mentally disabled people, they were using literally patients to torture me. Take me for a coffee, for the ice cream next door to the home for elderly people and shit. Sick, sick, sick as it gets, man. So this is what this is. Milan Kučan here, first time in 1988. Before Milan Kučan came here, it was Serbs in 1988, and then shortly they returned back with the Milan Kučan. That was they tried the paranoia, to create the paranoia in respect to the cameras as you come inside of the lobby. They claimed there was a camera inside of this Slovenian sign, this symbol, that they put the camera inside. They tried with the paranoia. That was the stuff. I accept that back then in 1988, that was not a paranoia. They tried to actually really have it like this. And then they couldn't do it because Slovenia became independent. It might have been that something like this might have been in there. And it might have been not even convenient for them, that kind of stuff, you understand? And then, who knows what the fuck happened? They continued to insist it's a cameras inside and drive crazy and all kinds of stuff they were doing. But I don't think so. They also rejected that kind of stuff. But this police station with the Milan Kučan that was keep coming, he wanted the arson charges against me. Appointed as a first Slovenian president, nothing against the communism, nothing against the communists, nothing. This is about not communism, this is about using a communism as a pretense of a communism, at the same time doing ethnic cleansing, killing people of your own to create a greater Serbian Chetnik state, or as is the case in Russia, greater Russian state. It used to be in the Soviet Union, communism was used for Russian imperialism purposes. It's got nothing to do with the communism. It's just Kučan, Putin, all these people classified themselves as communists, members of the communist movement, and they simply did so to get the support, sympathy from China, maybe even from India, I don't know, from countries that were impoverished, that kind of stuff, so that world would not stand up and see them basically for what they were. It's got nothing to do with the communism, you understand? My problem has got something to do with something completely different. First time I immigrated to Austria. Second time I immigrated to the other side of Atlantic Ocean, just to escape this Slovenian scum. Yugoslav, Serbian, Russian scum. You understand that? And what I'm going to say is I did good. I did very good because people get to see about the stuff that goes on. So, nothing to say, that's it. I got about 3 hours maybe long video about this property that I investigated, the way I investigated. Really, the first time when I came here, it grabbed my attention when I came close to the building and I look at these windows through and I see inside, boy, I see these rooms, and it immediately triggered the memory on torture and bestiality performed on me. The main enthusiast, this was just as always, guy it's a Lucifer actually, this psychiatrist, this lunatic here. This was the guy that was just obsessed with the torture. He enjoyed, he had a thrill together with the Robert Golob, and that's what they were doing inside. This is full of graffiti shit, completely demented. The totally last residents here were some undocumented people from Kosovo, that would be Kosovo Albanians workers, who also got the job with what was Cesna, that's basically fixing the holes on the road, doing the work, hard labor, basically the labor, you know, road repair, that kind of stuff. And this is a little factory. I don't know what they had inside in here. They said that they had anywhere from the car seats at one point in time for the IMV, Industrija motornih vozil. Second time that they would take any kind of orders, that whatever they would get. I remember when I was here, when they had me here, and Sometimes it must have been like in a 6th grade at the grammar school. Now, the year was like 1984, I would say. Probably they closed this down in 1984, you know, because I remember when I was inside and they just couldn't run this shit anymore. It was difficult to get the business. And what they would do is they would take any kind of business, whatever some order would come, anything, and it was just extremely difficult. So they turned into a torture. These poor guys, they have them here, Bosnian, and they would pay them for the torture, that kind of stuff. Is the stuff that I discussed on the other video. And they have these chambers here. They would put me inside and all kinds of totally insane stuff. That's where the Milan Kučan, Robert Golob, that will be coming here also. They would be compensating these poor people for. They would give them something, basically. Total poverty. I remember these people. This was like the poorest people, but very good workers. They would do anything to have the job and stuff like this. And Yugoslavia was just in a really total distress. And this is the way the stuff was. Connected to the police station, supposedly. They have a cameras sending them pictures. They had me inside of the police station. At the police station, they already charged me with a crime. They... all kinds of stuff like this they were giving me. I mean, this video, Miran Sudin was directly involved in this. This video pretty much doesn't explain everything. I mean, the car, the way they parked here was supposedly parked because all on the brainwash. I don't want to get into it, but they told me that they're going to park the car over there in case they get a call from the dispatcher from the police station because they don't want me to get in trouble. They will be the closest unit. The dispatcher, whenever they dispatch somebody, they always pick up the closest police unit to the location where they need a vehicle dispatched, or I should say patrol dispatched. And so they didn't want some people that are not acquainted with my case. Are there any like this at the Novo Mesto police station? Oh, holy shit. I never considered that fact. I don't think there are any. Would not want them to meet me at the place, that kind of stuff, you know. And when I recall this shit, I just wouldn't go in there anymore. I wouldn't go. I was in the evening time, really, and I needed the urge to come back and do it again. I really was determined to come back and do it again. And then I realized that this is just not a wise thing to do. Not a wise thing to do. This guy from Croatia that used to live here with a group of guys, he had proofs of MK Ultra. And what's interesting is they took me with the police to this Šibenik. No, I don't know why always don't say this name. It's not Šibenik. It's wait a minute. It's not a Šibenik and it's not a Zadar. It's I don't know what the fuck it is. Another famous one, is Dubrovnik down south here. Oh, shit, it's a Šibenik, and this one is Split. Okay, it's not Split, and it's not Zadar, it's a Šibenik, this guy. Yeah, he's from Šibenik. So, Milan Kučan, 96, 97, 98, obsessed with idea, because they were not sure whether I'm going to get a green card in the United States of America for me to return back to Slovenia and actually be charged even with the arson in a house where I was tortured since my earliest childhood. Isn't that just fucking sick? And the person whom they hired to do just that kind of stuff was the person from that was supposedly related to the Teritorijalna obramba, the so-called Slovenian independence, that kind of stuff, and who also claimed that he just decided they're going to do this stuff because it was a building they would torture me. And who the fuck would want a building where they torture you burnt? I mean, are you fucking crazy? I mean, what kind of stuff is that? That's a building packed, jam-packed with the proofs, with the criminal evidence, and you go and you fucking burn one. Clearly, you burn one for the reasons. This is by so close to these people here that the only thing that keeps them out of the jail is Janez Ogulin, basically this police directors from Novo Mesto and this criminal department they have at Novo Mesto police station. This guy's here right in the rear of the building and right here at the top of this building. This is what they have, I should say, this management here that they have. This is administration is located in this side of the building. This is the only crime that keeps them jail-free at this point in time. Yet, it's unbelievable. And that's why I said that Slovenia shouldn't actually, Slovenians talk about European Union and NATO and United Nations. Why the fuck are they allowed to participate in it on the first place? That's a question. They complain about how much money they have to pay to the NATO and this and that. And it goes for the defense of the Ukraine and etc., etc. I think they need to be thrown out of European Union. I think there is no place for the country like this to be inside of the European Union. Just like as Serbia pay their toll to have a normal relations with other countries around in the area. They don't deserve to be inside of the European Union. That's one thing. And the second thing is they need to be charged through United Nations, through the International Criminal Court for crimes against humanity. This is a little Belarus here. This is a little Russia. This is a little North Korea in the heart of the Europe with a Russian flag. And it's a trouble for everybody.